we want to look at donor requirements and funding opportunities for joint climate change related research activities. And this will be given by two individuals, Christian Gregat and Professor Soren Marcus Pedersen. And Professor Pedersen is an associate professor at the University of Copenhagen, specifically the Department of Food and Resource Economics. And he works with technology or technological assessment, production economics, and research evaluation. This is what he does. He also has collaboration with various agri-technical companies, food production sectors and related sectors, and especially, and as well, NGOs. And he does some of these things through externally funded projects from the European Union or national funds. And like I said, he will do this together with Christian Gregat. So Christian is a senior finance management professional. Right, so, right. So, Christian is a senior finance management professional with track record of delivering project strategy cost-saving initiatives. He also has a track record in identifying risk and implementing risk mitigation financial policies in support of rapid growth. He has gained extensive international exposure, and he has strong networks across various countries within the African region. Beyond the African region or within the African region, he also has a lot of links with renowned universities and research institutions. Shall we invite Christian Gregat and Professor Soren Marcus, Professor Finn Plaboy. He will mention his name himself. I just had lunch, so. So Christian, is Christian coming first or Professor first? Or you first? Over to you. You're welcome.
Good afternoon, and welcome back from lunch. I will start off with a presentation on focusing on donor requirements and some funding opportunities per se, and sort of trying to focus on climate change. This is a conference focusing on that in particular, and I will do it from a Danish context. So the funding opportunities that I will present to you today has an origin from the Danish development aid and availability of funds from that source of funding. Next slide, please. So overall, when we talk about donor requirements, am I able to change myself? Okay. Yeah. If we look at donor-funded projects and activities, it always comes with requirements from the given donor who provides the funding in the first place. This is me trying to do a very simple, not drawing, but at least a figure, sort of stating, and the point of departure will be KNUST, but it can be any other university, it can be any other organization, given the fact that everything is based on rules, regulations, procedures, habits, and so forth in an organization. There are specific requirements, policies, standards, practices in terms of how to do salaries, how to do allowances, how do you do traveling, how do you calculate your overhead, if you're able to do so, what are the procedures for audit. At the same time, any donor has similar requirements if you are entrusted with funding from that particular donor. They might not, or they will not mirror your own set of rules, your policies at all, but they might resemble. Therefore, the target is whenever we embark on externally funded projects and funding to support it, we need to find the common ground where our policies, our rules and regulations are meeting whatever the donor requires. Hence, the figure at the lower part of the slide. We are able to have a maneuvering room, which is the gray circled or the gray scaled area. That is where we do common practice. That is where we have common approaches. So this is our room for maneuvering whenever we have a project, whenever we have donor funding. And of course, no donors have their same way of doing things. They don't have the same compliance. They don't necessarily have the same requirements. So each time we embark on externally funded projects, we have to identify, so what is our room for maneuvering? And that very much depends on the donor requirements and us being able to be compliant with whatever rules and regulations any donor might have. And I'm just going to list a few of the requirements. So this is again from a donor perspective, of course. Any donor will have a rewarded budget. That might not be what you initially proposed. It can be reduced or whatever. And again, this depends on the negotiation. A donor might have a requirement for co-funding. Whenever you attract funding and are entrusted by funding from a given donor, you have to do co-funding on side of that. They always have some sort of a terminology in terms of what are the eligible costs or a direct cost, which is very much focusing on what type of costs are actually approved in the budget and therefore something that can be reimbursed one way or the other. They will have something on reporting requirements, on audit requirements in terms of you have to submit an audit report on a 12-month period, and it has to be 3 months after the period has ended, 6 months or whatever. Any donor have their own requirements. They have templates that they provide you with that you need to adhere to, of course. And if we look towards the Danish government aid from the development point of view, which is Danida, I think most of you, if not all, are familiar with Danida. You also, as an organization, have to have an anti-corruption policy. I don't know whether we all have it. Do we all know it even? On top of that, we also have to have PSEA, which is on preventing sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment. That is also a new thing coming in. And most donors, they actually demand that you have some sort of sexual harassment or anti-sexual harassment policy, of course. If we don't necessarily have it, we might be at risk of not being able to attract the funding because we're not compliant with whatever grants a donor might provide with us or to us. They might have restrictions in terms of how to do publications from the research work that you do. They might have something on intellectual property rights, if that's the case. They might have something on tech transfer or handing over fixed assets or whatever. They could have something on partnerships. How are you to engage in partnerships? Should it be so many partners from the global south, or should it be European partners or American or whatever? And of course, they would most likely also have requirements in terms of dissemination and outreach. So how are you able to disseminate? Are you obligating yourself to have a conference like this, or is it just an option, or is it applicable? Are you, depending on the research that you embark on, are you obligated to actually do advocacy with the government, with the community, or whoever? Again, any project being funded by any donor, they have their own set of requirements. So whenever you embark on externally funded projects and work, you need to dissect, so what are the requirements? And of course you need to do that before you even start doing the work, obviously. I think we can go for 3 days on this topic alone, so I'll skip it and I'll just show you, again, this is from a Danish perspective, a list of possible funding. I think we're all familiar with the BSU, which is basically funding this session. And most of you are also involved in some of the research projects which are administered by DFC in Denmark, the FFU projects. Both BSU and the FFU projects are somewhat ending towards the close of 2023 or whenever your project is actually ending. And unfortunately, for political reasons, Ghana has been written out of the Danish development aid. So you're no longer in need of development, if you ask Danish politicians at least. Now it's all about trade. And I think I can get an echo from my Danish colleagues. We're not making these rules, and I think we all think they are utterly stupid, to be honest. But it is what it is. Recently, Tanzania is also on the way out of the Danish development aid. The embassy is being phased out in 24, I think. But at least there is still room to do some more BSU, do some research in terms of the FFU projects. So make sure that you exhaust to the extent possible whatever you have actually secured already. There's something on EU funding, and that is something that Finn will take over after my presentation. There might be some public-private partnerships through the Danish embassy, or it can be research projects through the embassy as well. And again, I think my advice is that you should explore and do consultations with the embassy, the Danish one. It can also be other embassies, of course. I know that the ambassador was here yesterday for the opening. So hopefully you all got his business card and know how to reach him. He might assign you to a deputy when you reach out to him, of course. But what is interesting is that there is also other Danida funding, which might actually be of interest to you as academia, as a university, or wherever you actually come from, which is something that has been launched. It's called a strategic partnership. This is something that Danida has actually entered with 18 Danish NGOs for a period of 4 years. It just started here in 2022 and will finish in 2025. The annual budget is approximately 170 million USD. And that is the annual budget. A lot of that funding is actually with implementation here in Ghana. This is happening through the Danish affiliates, such as Oxfam, such as Care International, International Media Support, MS Action Aid, Save the Children. There might also be others. And part of the condition of this grant, of the strategic partnership, is that a maximum of 20% can be used in Denmark. The rest has to go to the Global South. So this is very much chipping into the localization agenda, where the money has to go to where the beneficiaries are. So opposite BSU, where it's basically 50-50, and same with the FFU projects, only 20%, a maximum of 20% are to stay in Denmark. The rest has to go out in the world. Yeah? So the scope of this strategic partnership is very much that there is an increased focus on implementation in fragile contexts, which also is something that is happening here in Ghana, especially to the north. There is an increased focus on green solutions and approaches, and there is an overall focus on local leadership in the Global South. The overall objective is to focus on preventing and fighting poverty and inequality and so on and so on. I'm not going to read it, but the 3 defined outcome areas, these are defined by the Danish ministry. So all the NGOs have to adhere to these outcome areas. They can't invent their own. One is focusing on just societies, which is very much focusing on education, human rights, and equality. And I think that is an outcome area where you as a university might actually have an interest. And I know for a fact that a lot of the NGOs, which have, of course, country offices here in Ghana, they are extremely interested in actually doing some sort of collaboration with the universities here, because you have an outreach which they don't have. and you are able to go to beneficiaries, go to communities in a very different way than they are. It's not that you are to take over, but it is that they want to collaborate. Outcome area 2 is defined as leaving no one behind, which is very much focusing on the humanitarian efforts. But again, outcome 3, which is again defined by the donor, so they're basically dictating you have to work with this, is focusing on climate justice, and this focus on climate change and green solutions. So again, I think some of the research projects which we actually got presented before lunch in all of the theme areas is something that might also contribute towards this. And again, mind yourself, the annual budget is 170 million USD, not Danish kroner. So there should be some opportunities. And again, it's all about actually reaching out. And I'll be happy to answer a further question afterwards. But basically, that was my very short and precise presentation.
Thank you very much, Christian. I already now would like to announce that I want you to pose me a question after my talk, which will be, what do we mean by outcome? And I will show you why, the word outcome. So, my name is Finn Plauborg. I'm a senior researcher at Aarhus University. The reason why I'm here is actually threefold. All the three keynote speakers have all talked about collaboration. And I'm especially influenced by, and now I look for the name, Daniel Tutu, who is at the Environmental Protection Area Office. Probably not even in science, but it seems that this Daniel have looked into the European calls, or the European call have asked him what is important also in Ghana. Because what I looked through when he talked, it was a focus on climate science and climate services. So I want to connect those words with not Horizon Europe, because that was the former research program, but Horizon Europe, but not Horizon, the other one, anyway. I think they will find my presentation here. Okay. So, so that was that reflection. The other reflection is coming also from Christian. I'm not allowed to do research anymore funded by Danida in Ghana, and I have done it since 2012. So my third reason, I won't give up. Ghana is my second home country. I want to stay here. And that's possible if we get some funding. And I didn't know about the new funding opportunity with the partnership. I know one which started in 2018 on water. We applied, but we failed anyway. So I'll just browse this call from the Horizon Europe. Torsten gave a little talk on the possibilities. There were some calls. He told he browsed all 583 pages. This here comes from, as you see, if I do like this, will that work? Sorry, it was the wrong button. Yeah, here you have cluster 5, CL5. Most of them Torsten talked about was from cluster 6. So this is actually from the work program on climate science and climate change. Also 500 pages. There's one call with this title, Needs-Based Adaptation to Climate Change in Africa. And I think it fit very well into our conference, so why don't we just browse the text I highlighted some keywords. I was told that we probably all will have all the presentation as PDF files after the conference, because you will need to look into this text again and again and again to understand. But what I would like to give you this job already before I show you anything. If you already now feel interest in having 5 million euro together with some partners in Europe for research, I think I would like you to even mail me if you can define 5 work packages where you want to collaborate. Because you know we have to split a proposal into work packages, and let's see if we can find a common trend. So now I'll just try to browse with this one here. If you have, it worked before, it doesn't work anymore, I'll try another one. Yeah. I highlight destination is important. So if you download the Cluster 5 work program, it's not published yet. It will be published in November. You see there's a draft on this, but this is the final version. This is draft number 4, so it will not change, so don't worry. There's a destination to a call, and you can see on this slide here that there's a lot of calls, but the destination will be presented up top, and all the calls are under this destination, and the destination text is very important. And this is where I think this talk by Daniel Tutu actually looked like the destination in this call. Because the call talks about, and this is for all the calls in this destination, advancing climate science. Why? Because we don't know enough. We can't predict climate extreme. And to adapt to climate extreme, we need to know how to predict them. So the focus actually here is to develop some climate science tools for use by the public, by the stakeholders, and the stakeholders is definitely the government, but it's also the Met Office. But the Met Office should probably, if they will, be the main expert in the science we want to develop. Maybe they don't have scientists, but then they have universities who can do the climate science. And the overall global text, I'll not read this. You can browse it, and you can see later. I'll just jump to the next one, where the destination here talks about what we also talk about. We should advance knowledge in Earth system science, pathways to climate neutrality, climate change adaptation, climate services. Those highlighted word was also in Daniel's talk. And then you also see the IPCC, and you see a lot of other kind of known word like robustness and climate change, politic matrix, and so. So this destination text is very important. And if we go to the call itself, then we have the word outcome, which Christian will ask me about. What does outcome mean? Because you also use the word. That's a big challenge, according to me, when I read it, the outcome that the Commission expects that we achieve. They want us to address all of those, and I think there's another one, no, here. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outcomes. But is that actually some results of our research? No, not according to me, because outcome is the impact, the immediate impact after you finish your research. In the Danita terminology, you use that you will produce results and output, and that will have an outcome, and that will have an impact. So it's a kind of, after the project has ended, they expect that we can address all those outcomes here. Again, I won't read them. You'll need to read them later. I'll just browse this text today. And then the scope. This is very important text. And you see, I nearly highlighted everything. But when you formulate your work packages, you will have to cover all the science needed to accomplish those words and those sentences in that scope. I think when you look upon the last part, we can really identify that climate change impact that ranges from drought through rising sea level, cyclones and floods, to rising temperature and rainfall anomalies, where here in the African continent, it will influence the food security. So as I'm an agronomist and agrohydrologist with 30 years experience, always have to fight my own salary, because if not, then it's out. So I'm looking very precise on this call. Can I be part of that call? Yes, because I know about food production system and droughts and flooding. I just need people to work with from different African countries, and we need to be at least 3. So then the task of that call is called here actions. So this is where we can formulate our research. And again, it's a long text. I don't want to read it. And there are more actions. So this was a kind of commercial for a possible funding for collaboration. Some of you met me in November last year, because I had a big meeting, 10 and 11 November, where we addressed to try to have a Horizon Europe funding on agroecology. The proposal failed because the company who should write the proposal, Sustainable Intensification company from Spain, left, so we had to give up. But now we'll try again. I'll not be the coordinator. That will be a key person, probably from Europe, and I think very shortly you will be contacted by partners in Europe, like SALF from Germany, like KIT, and a lot of those people who are working in Africa, Wageningen University, INRA. But now I invite you to consider a possible interest in working with at least Denmark. Thank you for your attention. And outcome, so Christian, outcome, that's not the same as output in Danida terms. So did I formulate it correctly? Okay, brilliant.
Are there any questions or comments for Christian and Professor Playback? Questions, comments? We know what outcomes are, outputs, impact. Cluster 5, Horizon. Right. I think we've gotten to an exciting moment. Presentation of awards. Presentation of awards. But before presentation of awards, we want to take the closing remarks, which will be given by Professor Robert Clement Abedu. A round of applause for him.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good. You know, I think it's been a very exciting 2-day period. Is that right? And I want to make my own personal observation first before I go through the slides. My greatest excitement is the fact that we have been able to bring together very young people who I believe have aspirations of doing better in the research funding field. You know, the whole idea is to create this forum for you to connect, for you to know where to look for the funds. Frank said that he has to look for his salary. He has to look for his salary. You know what that means? He has to be a hunter for funds if he has to survive. Probably we are not there yet, but don't be deceived. We might get there. So I believe the young men who have been here these 2 days have taken note of this and will take the deepest advantage of what has happened here in the past 2 days. Okay. So the observations made by the rapporteurs is what I'm going to go through. Of course, we've seen very good participation, and I know it's been very highly interactive, both the preliminary and the breakout sections, to demonstrate that things were exciting. Is that right? When presentations are exciting, we sleep off, but when they're exciting, you stay alert. Now, we have also understood that effective and efficient collaboration yield greater results, as seen in the things that we do. We say that if you want to go alone, probably can go fast. Is that right? You have to go further. You need to go in groups. So collaborations are extremely important. Because if you listen to all the keynote speakers, we have moved away from the, what do you call that? The silo research effects. Whatever you do right now are connected. That's a socioeconomic component to that. So please don't go alone. Go in groups, young men. All right. Now, we also have heard about high-quality research ongoing, and we can do more, I suppose. We can do more. And as we've stated right now, Danida, I know, one of the things that we submit that get rejected, they rejected because they don't fit into our national discourse. So if we are writing on climate change issues to be applied in Ghana and don't know what is happening in Ghana on climate change issues, then obviously you're going to be bumped off. So you do a bit of local research, what is going, what is lacking, and what you think you can do to fulfill the gaps that are remaining unresolved. And this is basically because research must meet the needs of society to be relevant. Somebody has to buy what you sell. Is that right? Normally in class we say that if I have to sell, normally we knew of our cotton wool to be very white. Is that right? Cotton wool has always been white in color. So if I add palm oil to cotton wool, I must prove that this is better cotton wool than the white one. It's a new color, it has a new impact, so you can buy it. So you have to make sure you are communicating to the ultimate what? Buyer. When the research results don't reach the consumer, you have done nothing, gentlemen. So it's important to bring this into focus when we come to do these things. We've also learned many interesting things about new frontiers in the climate change research. All the keynote speakers have opened our eyes up to what we can do differently now so that we can be supported by the funding agencies very well. The other thing Finn and Kristen have mentioned here is that we need to pay attention to the cause. We need to pay attention to the cause. When they give you those long paragraphs, there are keywords within there that It's only when you read them you're able to address what they want you to do. So please spend some time. KNUST Management, VC Pro VC, Director of OGR, for their immense support. But let me say that Torsten, don't want to please come get up again. Just embarrass you a little bit, okay? For bringing up this idea that, why don't we, this element of discussing climate change results in this last bit be put into a national, international conference? You know, I'm a lazy man, I was reluctant, but I'm glad I bought into it, you know. And also thank you for trying to assist in terms of using some of the funds here and there to make sure this happens. I know you are very happy about what you have seen, isn't it? So thank you very much. So please, let's give Torsten and let's now take on the BSU 3 team, organizing team at KNUST. You know, please, the older people here, make sure you invest in the young people. It's extremely important. Invest well in the young people, because I was knocked off and the young people have done it. So congratulations, my young men and team. So let us give them a round of applause. You've done it. Very good job. My next appreciation goes to the keynote speakers, the ports, and you ask the ports people to offload luggage from the ship. Is that right? And you don't start with a bag of rice, and you start with iron rods. They will tell you empty bag cannot stand. Is that right? So the catering, empty bag don't stand. Is that right? If you have a bag with no rice, will the bag stand? No. So you have to feed him before you can go and carry hot the iron rods. So the caterers, thank you so much for making sure that we have good meal system, and I know it's going to continue this evening at the dinner. The media, the IT team, we thank you so much for your support. The MCs, my daughter, Ajua, I thank you so much. You said you would do it. I should sleep. I know you have done it. And the greatest of all will go to Hannah. You've done it. You've coordinated really well. And when our participants are happy, we are happy. So thank you very much for today.
A round of applause for him. Thank you. Thank you for the closing remarks. I think he made it very, very motivational, especially for those of us who are very young. Thank you, Professor. Now, the presentation of awards. I'm sure people are excited. People are eager. So let me call on an LOC member in the person of Dr. Benjamin Jampo to announce the award winners.
Good afternoon. We have 4 winners, 1 for poster and 3 for oral presentation. The 3 are for each sub-theme. And this was the criteria. For poster, we looked at the depth of the content, the introduction and the abstract, the poster's organization, the design and overall visual appeal, and also how the person interacted at their stand. And for the oral presentation, of course, the depth, the clarity of presentation, the use of audio-visual aids, how appropriate they were, the ability for the presenter to connect with the audience, and also time management, the time that was allotted to presenters to use whilst they were here. So for the poster, we have, the title is Rainwater Harvesting for Livelihood Improvements in Dryland Areas of Northern Ghana. And that is by Ama Frema Granting. Please, you can stand for us to applaud you. to the oral presentation, sub-theme 1. We have the winner to be Tea Time in Tropical Acrosol after Oil Palm Empty Fruit Bunch Amendments by Peter Bilson Obwo. Is Peter in? Oh. Then for the theme 2, the winner is rapid and low-cost screening for single and combined effects of drought and heat stress on So that's Vincent, right? Yes, Vincent Ajimanopoku. Yes, he's applauding his co-authors, yes. We have the third one. Theme 3. I'm told theme 3 is still collating.
Congratulations to the award winners. Well done. Well done. Congratulations. We have an exciting announcement. Research without publication is no research. And over to you, Doc.
Thank you very much. So please, we have agreed with Scientific African Journal to have a special issue on this particular conference. And we would make a formal call for the special issue, and we would expect that by that time you would develop your papers into full manuscripts, and it will go through the same rigorous review like any other manuscript will do. The only difference is that we're going to concentrate it on the themes and the sub-themes of this particular conference. So thank you very much, and we look forward to that.
I think this is a big one. Thank you very, very much to the initiators. I don't know who initiated this, but this is a very good one. So please make sure your abstracts, you are actually churning them into full manuscripts. You can already go to the website of Scientific African, look at their submission requirement, manuscript preparation, and try and get your papers, your abstract into full manuscripts. Thank you very much. We want to thank ourselves. Hannah, don't run away. And I'll call Mrs. Hannah Ayison to kindly do this for us. She's standing behind the door. We have all the patience to wait for you. So please clap for Hannah. She's done a lot of work. She hasn't slept for the past 2 days. And so let me say thank you before you even decide to thank all of us. Well done. Well done.
I was running away because I think I'm blank. My head is it's not ready to talk. But simply, I would like to, first of all, you agree with me that we need to thank God for this special meeting. So if you agree with me, let's give a big clap offering to our Almighty God. Yes. Delivered your message to join us. I think Prof mentioned almost everybody, so I won't bore you again. We want to thank you. If everybody showed up and the participants were not here, I'm not sure we will have a conference. So you guys have done amazing. We deserve a clap, all of us. We have a team from UCC. UCC, please, can I see you? Give us a wave. You were here in your numbers. Thank you. Legon, University of Ghana, thank you so much. UNE, please, are you here? Thank you for coming. UDS, thank you for coming. CSIR, thank you, thank you. Please, have I made someone else? Hey, my people, please, forgive me. My people, please show yourself. We are here. Thank you so much. We are very, very grateful to our protocol team who have been here throughout the 2 days. Everybody, we are very grateful. Nana, Benji, all the people behind the scene, the media team, we are so grateful to everybody. If I didn't mention your name, it's not intentional. We are grateful for coming. May God bless you. We wish you all a successful and a safe journey back home. We hope you meet us at the dinner. We have to end this whole thing with a nice dinner and a dance. So see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Thank you for thanking us. So we are closing, and we began with a prayer. So we will also end with a closing prayer. Shall we invite Mr. Thomas Ejay Japon to pray with us? And I'll see you all at the dinner. Thank you.
Shall we please rise up for prayers? Immortal God, everlasting Father, we give you thanks and praise. Number one, for the journey mercies for all our venue. We say glory be to your name. We thank you also for the strength that your children used in organizing this conference. We thank you also for the wisdom that you give to all our presenters and panelists, even to deliver their various speeches. We thank you for the food that we have all enjoyed. We thank you for the breath that flows through us. We say hallelujah be unto your name. Father, we pray that as we depart from this venue, your spirit will continue to go with us. Grant us wisdom and abilities to be able to achieve the goals we have set for ourselves, particularly the young ones who are upcoming. Grant them long life, wisdom, and ability even to take our continent beyond our expectation, that in the end, your name will be glorified. We want to thank you also that you bless the various governments who have released funds even to support us in our various researches. We pray that you continue to bless them and give them good heart, that they will continue to support us until we have weaned ourselves. We give you thanks and praise for the answered prayer. In Jesus' mighty name have we prayed. Amen.
Okay, so there will be a bus in front of the conference center to convey all of us to the